Welcome back to another episode. Today's topic is the degree. Oh man, a topic near and dear to my heart. Why the degree? Well, because when you finish high school, when you are out in the real world and you realize that you need a little bit more education than you currently have, the degree is super important, or it used to be super important. So I know when I look at a degree, I look at return on investment. Why? Because it is an investment. And every investor knows that you want to know what your return on an investment will be before you decide to take advantage of one. So, what's the value of a degree? Well, let's look at some history. So if I look at my parents, I knew that having a degree was actually much more valuable in their day than in mine. And I know that a degree was much more valuable in my day than it even is today. So, what has actually changed in regards to the degree? Well, let's look at the first thing. So, degrees used to be rare. Not everyone used to be going to school. And right now, not everyone's going to school, but there's a lot more people going and getting a degree. And as a result, you're seeing a lot more degrees that are out there. So, law of supply and demand tells you that as supply goes up, demand goes down. So, if you had that much more supply as far as degrees that are in circulation, then the demand has gone down. All right, so if the demand has gone down, then what has it actually gone up for? Well, the more degrees you have a little bit more of an advantage for the fact that, okay, instead of just a bachelor's, you have a master's. Instead of a master's, you have a PhD. So the higher the level you actually go up, the less you sort of see. But at the end of the day, you still have more in circulation. So more degrees in circulation. Oh yeah, the cost has gone up. All right, so the cost has gone up for the degrees. There's more in circulation. There's less degrees. Let's say if you go at the top, master's and PhD. Okay. All right. Interesting. So, where do you think the value of a degree is going? You think it's going up or you think it's going down? Well, demand's going down for it. So, employers are not paying as much for a degree as they used to, and you have more in circulation. So, degrees aren't worth as much as they used to be. Are they valuable? I still think they are valuable, but they're not worth as much as they used to be. Now, what's changed with that? Well, before there used to be the recommendation of if you have if you're going to college, get into the best school you possibly can. All right, that used to be the best advice you could get, but it's not the case anymore. I don't believe the goal should be getting into the best school you possibly can. And this isn't just for me. If you check out Mark Cuban or any folks that are well up in their careers in big business and so forth, you're going to hear a lot of folks say a similar thing. And there's a reason for that. And I'll get into that after I give you the second recommendation, or the recommendation that works today. So before, it used to be if you want to get into the best school, you should go to the best school, right? Well, today it's a little bit different. It's get into the best, cheapest school you possibly can. And the reason for that is that the folks that are making that or giving you that advice are considering something that most folks probably haven't talked to you about. And that is student loan debt. Student loan debt, yes, it has been referred to as good debt, but if you have too much of any type of debt, it's not necessarily good debt, especially if you're not getting your return on investment. So again, something else an investor knows, you have to get your return on investment for it to be a good investment. All right, so student loans, what should you know? Well, student loans are the only loan that I can think of that even if you declare bankruptcy, you still owe it. That means if you're playing the game Monopoly and you lost all your money, all your assets and everything, and you don't have a penny to your name, you're free, you're done, you can start over. Not with student loans. If you had student loans when you declared bankruptcy, student loans are still going to be following you. They're going to have a leash right on your leg, and wherever you go, they're going to go. So you cannot get rid of them at all. So if you overpay, guess what? You're still going to be paying it back. So the goal is not to overpay so you don't have to worry about that problem. So in regards to, let's see. Oh yeah, student loan. We just talked about that, right? So that's probably one thing you definitely want to understand. And in doing that, there's a few key pieces of information that you would want to know about your decision. So, first off, if you make a decision that, college is the thing for you, going to university, getting a bachelor's, master's, PhD, whatever it actually is, even if you're deciding to go back to school, look at the return on investment. How much will you be making with the degree? Find that out beforehand, okay? That should give you a basis for how much it actually makes sense to spend in order to get that degree, all right? So that's going to give you a basis for, okay, how much money is this endeavor actually going to be worthwhile to pay so I can actually get my return on investment and pay it off in some quick, reasonable amount of time. After that, you need to consider the educational institution that you are going to. How do they actually make their money? And where do they put it when they get it? Are they putting it into new buildings? Are they putting it into new athletic facilities? Because odds are, if they're doing that, it's not really going into your education as much as it is the institution. So that's actually something important, and you need to consider on that. Let's see what else. Figure out who's actually doing what you're doing. What did they actually have to do to get there? In some cases, they may have taken a very different path than maybe what you chose. They may have decided to enroll in the School of Hard Knocks or real life to get their learning lessons through experience. That might be something that actually might be valuable for you, for something to start with. So with all of that and taking into consideration, I couldn't talk about it without sharing my story. So when I graduated high school, or I was in my senior year of high school, I decided college was going to be the best thing. Why? Well, my parents were teachers. They were pushing that on me for a very long time. I was on board. I knew I wanted to do electrical and computer engineering, and I wanted to go to, you might have guessed it, the best school in the country at the time. And for me, that was Carnegie Mellon University. So Carnegie Mellon was my first decision. So in order to get in order to go, I had to apply. And I decided to apply early decision. What that means is I applied before everybody else so I could get a decision before everybody else. Now, you can guess how excited I was when I found out I got accepted. But at the same time, I also knew I needed a backup school. And the backup school for me, I actually chose Johns Hopkins University because I had a number of engagements there in the past. And even when I went for a college tour and got to stay there for a couple days, I was impressed. I definitely enjoyed myself. So when I actually applied to Johns Hopkins, believe it or not, I found out I got in, and I got in with a full scholarship, right? So I'm kind of stoked. And at this moment, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I got in with a full scholarship, but that's still not my number one choice. So what am I going to do? So, I told my mom, let her know. I was like, hey, I really want to go to Carnegie Mellon. I haven't heard anything back from them about financial aid. Can you help me out? And she went to bat for me. She negotiated with the financial aid department, went back and forth. I think we received 8 different financial aid packages, if you can believe it, 8. And so with that, each one came in at a different price, some lower, some higher. So I'm thinking like, hey, do we just keep waiting, for another one to come in until we actually decide to accept it? So fortunately, my mom went to bat for me, and I was able to actually get, a full ride for 4 years over at Carnegie Mellon. Now, can't tell you how happy I was about that. I got into my first choice as far as colleges. I got a full ride, on top of that, but I was still hungry. So that wasn't it. So what I actually did and what I engineered is I found out that I was in a very advantageous position of being a bachelor or going for a bachelor's degree at my school because they had a backdoor approach to actually be able to get into their master's program. So if you're already going to the school, you could get in backdoor, which means you didn't have to go through another set of applications. You were already in if you had the GPA to match it. So what I actually was able to do, I satisfied the majority of my requirements for my bachelor's degree in 3.5 years. And I made sure I left one looming. So I didn't really graduate quite yet. And I took a bunch of classes for my master's degree on my, I guess it would have been my last semester of my 4th year. And then after that, I only needed one extra semester to get my master's degree. So my master's degree only ended up costing me an extra semester at school, which was awesome, right? And somehow, being able to finish bachelor's and master's in 4.5 years, I actually got one free semester at school with student status, but no classes. So if you ever had a dream of, hey, what if I could go to school, not take any classes, and just have the college experience, I got to save that for the end, which was awesome. All right. So I was, again, stayed hungry, was still able to do it. Very much appreciated the education that I got. But the big thing about it was that it was in one of the areas of my strengths. It wasn't something that I just kind of threw away. So I'm still using everything I learned with that degree to this day. And that's something that I actually want to make sure that you have at the forefront of your mind. If this is a degree that you're going for, don't just go for it to put a check in a box. Make sure that it's something that's going to be of value to you and that you can continue using it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. My big thing about just going to school was definitely the experience and everything that I learned, but we're in some changing times. So even all the information that I gave you, it's just to get your mindset thinking a little bit differently about how to create a future for yourself and what type of education you may actually need to be able to achieve your dreams and your goals. So, hope you enjoyed this segment. I know it was a little bit long, but I hope I was able to provide you with some value, and I hope to catch you on the next one. All right, bye.